This is the Vauxhall Movano, one of the more affordable large vans in the large van sector right now. But that's not to say it's cheap. In fact, this is the new and updated version with a refreshed front end, more technology in the cabin, alongside all that comfort that you've come to expect from Vauxhall vans, and a practical, reliable and flexible loading bay in the back. What's not to like? So let's crack it open and give it its very own Vanarama road test. Now, before we get started, I'd just like to say that I sincerely hope you enjoy this video, and if you do, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel and click the bell to get notified whenever we post new content just like this. And if you are in the market for a brand new van, car or pickup truck, don't forget to head to vanarama.com and check out the deals. Now, let's start this review where we always do, at the front of the vehicle. Now, the front end of the Vauxhall Movano may look a little bit familiar, but it's actually had a nice bit of an update. And at the higher trim levels, you get this lovely chrome detailing that sweeps across to the center right here to the Griffin badge. I mean, it's never looked so good. There's a lot of black plastic here. I mean, a lot of that is weight saving, but as you can see, you've got the black plastic grille, which leads down to the big black plastic bumper as well. So it's very tough and durable at the front end. These chrome detailing actually, it sweeps into the headlights, which look a lot bigger than some of the other larger vans, where the other large vans on the market have their sort of headlight clusters oriented on a horizontal. These ones track down the side of the vehicle, which actually makes it look quite snug and quite sporty. It's a really good looking front end. And don't forget to check out that great big windscreen right there. I mean, visibility is fantastic thanks to the size of that glass. Now let's head around the side of the vehicle and take a look at what's going on there. Now, the side of the Vauxhall Movano, like any large van, is imposing, and like I always say, it looks like it's just crying out for your personal business branding to be plastered all over it. So you should feel absolutely free and welcome to do that if you lease one. Now, dominating the side of this vehicle is a very obvious black plastic bumper which runs from the front of the vehicle all the way to the back. And one of the nice additions that I particularly like about this is the orange reflectors that are placed at intervals along this black bumper. Now look, they're reflectors. All they're there to do is increase your visibility in low light conditions, and that's all you can ask them to do. That's exactly what they're there. So, you know, don't ask them to do anything else like make you a cup of tea. They're just there to make you look even more imposing when you're driving a vehicle of this size. So while we're at the back, let's just take a look at the wheels, and as you can see, these ones are big steelies. Now, alloys would be great on a van this size, but for a van this size, it's just not practical. So you get nice, tough, durable steel wheels for a little bit of peace of mind. And you know what? While we are at the back of the vehicle, let's mix things up and take a look at the loading bay. And here we are at the back end with these massive, great big back doors. Now, first impressions, it's really nice to see a parking light mounted right in the middle. I mean, these days it's all about being visible, and that should help you absolutely no end. Now, you might have also noticed magnets. You got them on both sides, which means, yes, these are some of those doors that get held in place by magnets, which are really useful. If you've got the doors all the way open, because these ones open actually to a full 270 degrees flush with the side of the vehicle, if you've got them open and the wind picks up, you do not want them slamming shut on you or presenting a hazard to people on the pavement. So let's show you how they work. So both doors open up to their full 90 degrees, and then you just pull them slightly forward, disengage the door locks, and just open them all the way. And as you can hear, they just click in place and rest nicely on those magnets. And that is them nicely and securely opened. So let's get inside and show you the loading bay. And here we are. Well, look, yeah, there's a few marks on the inside, but this is the back end of a commercial vehicle. This is what it's going to look like. And to be fair, you would absolutely much rather that the ply lining and the wood fibre floor is what takes the pounding, not the metalwork of the vehicle. Now look, all the dimensions, the heights, widths, lengths, they're all going to appear around me, which gives me a bit of time to talk to you about what you can see. Now, this vehicle's interior is ply lined. As you can see, it's on the side walls. It's nicely boxed off around the wheel arches as well. This is something that we can provide free if you lease a vehicle from Vanarama. This also has a very nice, durable wood fibre floor, which can absolutely take a pounding. No matter what you're sliding in and out of here, this floor is going to absolutely take it. Now, one of the things I also noticed about the Vauxhall Movano compared to some of the other large vans on the sector is just the sheer abundance of lashing points. Now, you've got three on each side of the back doors, and then on each side, 1, 2, 3, 4, you've got 4 more just after the wheel arches. there is absolutely no way you're not going to be able to find a surface or a hook or a bungee point to secure your loads in place. It's a really great flexible loading bay with lighting above the door and lighting opposite the side door as well. They really have thought of everything. See, just because it's a more affordable large van doesn't mean it's cheap. There's still stuff in here which makes it a big competitive force in the large van sector. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get into the cabin so I can show you where this vehicle has had some major refinement. But just before we do head round to the cabin, I just wanted to show you the side sliding door. It is enormous and actually feels even bigger than a lot of other vans on the market right now. I mean, this vehicle's door is way wide enough for you to slide a Euro pallet in and out from the side. It just means that you don't have to always load up and load in from the back doors. You can actually make do with the side sliding doors as well. So there you go. Now, let's head to the cabin. So here we are in the cabin, and as you can tell, it has had a bit of a refresh from the previous versions of the Vauxhall Movano. One of the most obvious places is probably the infotainment screen, but after that, it's the upholstery, which just seems to be of a better quality these days. I think Vauxhall being part of the PSA group just means they have better access to better swatches, and as you can tell, the materials in here just seem to be of a better quality than they used to be. This one is a kind of light grey with squares on it with some black fabric, and it just looks really nice and durable. The headrests, for example, are made of a sort of a rubberized materials, which means even if you've got an apprentice that's got some particularly nasty hair products that he wears, it's not going to mess them up too much, and actually they're hopefully wipeably clean. So let's start, having a look around the dashboard and really getting under the skin of this vehicle. I mean, one of the things you will probably notice is just there's a lot of black plastic here, and to be honest, in the front of a large panel van that is a hard-working commercial vehicle, tough, durable black plastics is definitely the way to go. But in comparison to other large vans in the sector, it just feels like there's not as many obvious control buttons as there are on other vehicles. The steering wheel is actually quite plain. It's a nice feeling, kind of rubberized black plastic around the outside. You've got a couple of controls on either side here, and the horn and the badge, and that's about it, because all of those controls are hidden on a little stalk just behind the steering wheel, which is where your volume control, your phone controls, they all nestle quite nicely under there. And I quite like it because the mechanism is you kind of pull your two fingers like triggers to go up with the volume and down with the volume as well. The stalks for the controls, like the indicators and headlights, are very nice and short. They actually remind me of the Nissan vehicles, like the Master and the Kangoo. They've also got these nice little short ones, but don't worry. When I was driving around, because of the size of the steering wheel, they feel perfectly comfortable, and your hand just almost naturally hits them when you need to hit them. The dashboard display is also very nice and clear. Again, it's white writing on a black background, which makes it very clear and very easy to see what's going on. On the one side, you've got your speedo, on the other, you've got your rev counter, and you've also got all your warning light clusters underneath those as well. In between those two dials is the driver information display, which shows everything you'd expect from your range to your speed to also a nice digital fuel indicator as well. Now, just so you know, I'll give you this one for free. On my side is the AdBlue filler. On the side closest to the camera, that's where the diesel cap is. So, the more you know. Now, the dashboard itself has got a few cubby holes. On the right and the left extremes, you've got cup holders, which are actually quite nice. They're sort of beveled as well, which means that, anything that goes in there is not going to spill out or, move around when you're taking a corner. Just on top of the dashboard instrumentation, you've got a nice little cubby hole. If we're using lion bars as the universal thing to measure things by, you could probably fit about 7 line bars in there, maybe 8, but that one's going to sort of slide around and get on your nerves. Like a trade plate was sort of sliding around in front of you, it's just going to get annoying. You've got 2 quite deep basins just at the other side of the dashboard. Again, there's no rubberized bottom, so things are going to slide around in there, but there is a little divider, which means if you've got something that you can nudge up against that divider, you'll be absolutely fine. Let's take a look now at the dominating presence of technology in this vehicle, which is of course this infotainment screen up here. Now, you'll remember our review of the Vauxhall Combo and other vehicles in the PSA Group stable. This should be a very, very familiar looking touchscreen. You can just dab your hand on anything on here and you can have a look at your radio. You can go back, you can have a look at your media settings. It just tells me there's no device connected right there. If you hook your phone up, you can do that. You can use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay if you like, or you can just use Bluetooth connectivity, or you can use this USB socket right here, which will allow you to plug your phone straight in hard line. It's very nice, very durable. The plastic around it is that kind of, you know, sort of nice feely plastic, which I quite like. It's not exactly rubberized, but it kind of feels like it's been treated with a chemical to kind of stop it from perishing. And you've also got a hard volume button there if you don't want to use the volume buttons down here to the right of the steering wheel. Underneath that, you've got some buttons. You've got 3 blank ones here. You've got your lock, your hazard lights, your eco mode, your auto start stop on and off, and also traction control right there, which you can fiddle around with to your heart's content. Below that, you've got your climate controls, a great big one in the middle showing off that this does indeed have air conditioning. You've got your fan speed settings, and you've also got your fan direction settings to the right and left of that one as well. The gear stick is nicely mounted, and it doesn't actually feel, it might look like it's a little close to my knee here, but there's actually about 1.5 inches away. So while I'm sitting driving around, you know, there's no danger of me banging my knee or getting an unsightly bruise when I'm wearing shorts in the summer. The gear stick itself is also quite nice and very tough and durable. The gears I've found already to be very easy to knock into place, and if you want to flick it into reverse gear, you've got to use the collar just under there to lift it up and slam it into reverse. Very nice. Now, there's a strange tray. Stick stuff on it, I don't know, you can put a cup of tea down there if you want, but you know, bear in mind, if you stick a cup of tea and saucer down there, it's just going to go sliding around, so you know, maybe don't. There's a 12-volt socket down there, which is also very useful if you've got anything to charge up, and you've got another, you know, you could add a push, you could use this as a cup holder, but to be honest, I'd just stick a lighter, change, maybe a set of keys, or maybe a very, very small screwdriver could probably sit in there, one of those little stubby ones. Now, storage-wise, we are almost beginning to exhaust this vehicle's storage. The glove box, it's quite small. It's not the most generous of glove boxes, and for some reason to the left of it there's another little cubby hole which I think has robbed most of the space that the glove box could do with taking up. It actually gives a lot of room, so if you did have a passenger here, I don't think you're in danger of giving them any unsightly bruises for short season, but you know, you never can be too careful, so just drop it down gently so it doesn't smack against their knee with a resounding bang. You've got some nice generous door storage, a nice cubby at the top and down the bottom as well, and you'll see that there is even a clear beveled area where a litre bottle is designed to go, and it actually holds the bottle in place very nicely. You've got some overhead storage. It's not as generous in some other large vans that I've been in the front of, but I'll take it. There's also a nice kind of almost letterbox looking slot up there, which, well, it doesn't go that far back, so don't try posting anything, because if you do and, you know, what someone said, did you write me a thank you card or have you sent me a Christmas card? I mean, don't stick it in there because that's not a post box. It might look like one, but it's not, okay? Just wanted to, you know, absolutely clear that up. Finally, bit of storage. Some large vans on the market actually have under-seat storage. Now this is no different, but instead of accessing it by lifting up the seats and having a look, you actually just slide stuff underneath it. It's very utilitarian, it's very no nonsense, and I think that is one of the key ways to describe the Vauxhall Movano. It's durable, it's no nonsense, it's had a slight bit of refinement, and it looks better than it ever has. And that is the interior of the cabin of the Vauxhall Movano in a nutshell. Right, do you know what? Now we're here, let's take it for a test drive. So it's got to be said that you can see where a lot of the refinement comes with the new version of the Vauxhall Movano. I have to say that the interior is a marked improvement on previous interiors from the previous versions. I mean, this vehicle has been around since 1998. It's gone through several updates over the years. Last year, which is of course when the 2020 model was launched, I think that's when you start to see the Vauxhall Movano beginning to mature into its current form. I mean, not only have they stuck new engines in, but I just think the general interior layout has had a little bit of a rethink as well. Everything now feels like it's within arm's reach. You know, those little stalks I was talking about earlier, as I said, they're very easy to work with, and that little sort of trigger volume up and down control just behind the steering wheel on the right is really nice and easy to use, very easy to reach for as well. You don't find yourself having to sort of do any weird finger contortions just to get it. I would also say that the seating has had a little bit of a rethink and an update. I don't know what it is, but I just feel like modern PSA Group vans have better upholstery, and even though the seats aren't sprung, they do actually feel like they are. I think the quality of the foam that, you know, being part of the PSA group allows them access to, means that they just, I don't know, they can just make nicer, more comfy seats, because these are certainly the nicest and comfiest large van Vauxhall seats that I've ever sat on. Roundabouts are also no hassle whatsoever, unless of course you have people who can't quite decide which lane to go in. I mean, that one, actually the arrows were on the ground, so they should have just followed those, because I've just been cut up, which is, you know, stereotypically not something that happens to someone driving a large van. Usually it's us doing the cutting up, although that is another story for another day, and I don't believe that we do that often. Now, it has a 2.3 litre diesel engine under the bonnet, and some of the Vauxhall Movanos also have bi-turbo, and I'm glad to say that this is one of them. And I tell you what, you can really notice it when you start getting up to speed. If you hold that sort of second gear just a little bit longer, the amount of power that you have at your disposal is actually a lot larger than you'd expect with a van like this size. When we get to Ladies Mile, I will allow a little bit of space with the traffic in front so that I can show you some of the acceleration, because it really does have to be kind of seen to be believed. When I was in the front of the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter in one of our previous reviews, the link of which I will post just up here, just so you can see and compare, I did actually feel like the power that was available from the engine was maybe just a little less than I was expecting. I also spoke about how the gear stick was a little bit notchy. This one, I'm very glad to say, is actually very smooth. It's just really easy to drop back up and down into gear, and that 6-speed gearbox just, I mean, it all meshes together really nicely. The road is beginning to open up. There is a car in front of us, but we do have a bit of distance, so let's go. And you can feel the rush of power just by putting your foot down, and up into fourth the revs hold really, really high. It's really, really strange to be in such a large vehicle capable of holding speed and also giving you that much acceleration. So I'm being careful because we are actually coming up to a few little wet spots on the road, just letting the speed drop. Engine braking is quite nice without being too firm. And all in all, I just got to say, I think the Movano is a great package. You know, I want to reiterate, it doesn't feel cheap to drive. Just because it's an affordable van doesn't mean it's cheap and doesn't feel cheap and tacky. It's a very nice functional interior, coupled with that engine, that power and that loading bay. You do have yourself a very nice proposition in the shape of this large van. So instead of going somewhere else to finish this video, I'm going to finish it right here. So, how do we finish this one? Well, I said at the beginning that this vehicle is affordable, but that does not mean it's cheap. The latest update, I believe, has solved a lot of the problems that people might have had with the Movano beforehand, and what they're left with now is an affordable, reliable, durable and powerful alternative to some of the other mainstays in the large panel van sector. And that, for me, makes it definitely worthy of your attention.